In 1975, a Senate committee uncovered something the CIA had spent decades trying to keep hidden. The agency had paid, recruited, and directed journalists inside America's most trusted newsrooms, not to spy on foreign enemies, to shape what the American public believed. The committee's own report found over 400 American journalists had worked for the CIA in some capacity. Some knowingly took payment to plant stories. Others allowed the CIA to edit their work before publication. This was not a rumor. This was Congress's own finding. It's often called Operation Mockingbird. Historians still debate the exact scope of that name. But the underlying relationship between American intelligence and American media was real, and it was extensive. To understand how this happened, you have to go back to the earliest days of the Cold War. In 1948, the CIA was a brand new agency. It had been created specifically to fight a propaganda war against the Soviet Union. Soviet intelligence was known to run extensive disinformation campaigns through its own state media. American intelligence officials believed they needed a way to counter that and to shape global opinion in America's favor. A CIA officer named Frank Wisner built a program to do exactly that. It was called the Mighty Wurlitzer, named for an organ that could play many different tunes from one instrument. The idea was simple. If the CIA could place its message inside respected, independent-seeming news outlets, that message would carry far more weight than obvious propaganda. The program started overseas, planting stories in foreign newspapers to counter Soviet narratives. But it did not stay overseas. By the 1950s, the CIA had cultivated relationships with journalists and editors inside major American news organizations. This included wire services, newspapers, and broadcast networks. Some of these journalists were full CIA employees working undercover as reporters. Others were not employees at all, but trusted contacts who exchanged information and, in some cases, ran stories the CIA suggested. One of the CIA's key media handlers was a man named Cord Meyer, a senior officer who oversaw relationships with journalists for years within the agency's covert action arm. The CIA also ran a program targeting American academics and student groups through the National Student Association, funneling money without disclosure, a relationship exposed separately in 1967 by Ramparts magazine. That earlier exposure had already embarrassed the agency once before the media relationships came fully to light. The extent of the journalist program stayed hidden for over 2 decades. It surfaced because of an unrelated scandal. In 1972, the Watergate break-in triggered a wave of public distrust in American institutions, including intelligence agencies. In 1975, the U.S. Senate formed a committee chaired by Senator Frank Church to investigate abuses across the CIA, FBI, and NSA. The Church Committee's final report on the CIA included a section specifically on the agency's relationship with journalists. It found that the CIA had used journalists as intelligence assets and had planted stories in the media without disclosure. The report stated the CIA maintained relationships with reporters, editors, and even owners of major news organizations. Some of the journalists involved worked for organizations whose names remain redacted in the Declassified report to this day. Following the committee's findings, CIA Director George H.W. Bush publicly announced in 1976 that the agency would no longer pay American journalists for their work. The policy applied only going forward. It explicitly still allowed unpaid, voluntary relationships between journalists and the agency to continue. No journalist and no CIA officer was ever criminally charged as a result of the Church Committee's findings on media manipulation. Most of the journalists' names have never been publicly released. The committee cited national security concerns and ongoing relationships as reasons to keep the full list sealed. Investigative journalist Bernstein, who had helped break the Watergate story itself, published his own investigation in 1977 for Rolling Stone. His article was titled "The CIA and the Media" and ran over 25,000 words. He named several journalists and news organizations he identified as having worked with the agency, based on his own sources inside the CIA. His reporting named organizations, including CBS, Time, and the New York Times, as having had documented relationships with the agency at various points. The organizations themselves disputed the characterization and scope of those relationships. CBS, in particular, pushed back hard, with correspondents publicly denying any editorial interference from the agency. Some information from that era remains classified even today, nearly 50 years after the Church Committee's report. What is confirmed, on the record, by Congress itself, is this. For decades, the American public consumed news without knowing that some of what they read had been shaped, directly or indirectly, by their own government's intelligence agency. No comprehensive list of every journalist involved has ever been made fully public. The Church Committee's report remains the most detailed official acknowledgement that this happened at all.